In this episode of Detroit Performs, an award-winning folk rocker.
You wrecked yourself again.
A self-taught singer-songwriter from Detroit pours her heart and soul into her music.
Yo, we gotta stop, take a look inside ourselves, search inside our hearts.
And a hip-hop artist has an inspiring message. It's all ahead on this edition of Detroit Performs.
Funding for Detroit Performs is provided by
Masco Corporation is proud to manufacture innovative and environmentally friendly products for the home. Delta faucets, craft-made in Merillat cabinets, and Behr brand paints have all been designed with you in mind. Masco and its family of companies, serving Michigan communities since 1929.
Funding is also provided by the Michigan Council for Arts and Cultural Affairs and the National Endowment for the Arts, and by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.
Hello, and welcome to Detroit Performs. I'm your host, DJ Oliver, and today I'm at the Plymouth Community Arts Council's exhibition of work by Palette and Brush. I'll be taking you to the breathtaking creations throughout the show. But first up is Billy Brandt, whose rootsy, folky, psychedelic, alternative country background underpins strong songwriting and an adventurous spirit. Let's join him as he talks about his work and performs live with one of his bands, the Sugarees.
We'll keep your lamps trimmed and burning. Keep your lamps trimmed and burning. Keep your lamps trimmed and burning. 'Cause this old world, it's almost.
There's an amazing roots folk revival scene in Michigan. It's one of the best in the country, one of the best in the world. There's just unbelievable musicians happening in this genre. Perfect example of why I got into music and why it is transcendent, and I use that word, not loosely. I remember being in the back seat of my parents' Country Squire station wagon. The radio would be on, and I remember hearing either California Dreamin' by the Mamas and Papas or Mr. Tambourine Man by the Byrds, and it set off some endorphins in my little head that I hadn't experienced yet, and I was like, wow. What's that? Give me a piece of it. So started learning to play the guitar, started playing those songs. The music took me to a place that was better than any place I'd been yet.
Hey, now, watch the sun go down. Watch the sun go down on me.
I ended up in the merchandising business. I was an official merchandiser for 38 Special, Hall & Oates, Spyra Gyra, Marshall Tucker, dozens of others. And then after I left that job is when I started playing, which is 1985. I came back to Detroit from living in New York, and that's when I started playing in bands. And Ashcan Van Gogh was the band I formed then. We played a lot. We were an original folk rock band, which I should say, I've been playing folk rock music from the get-go. I've been a folk singer, and when you add bass and drums to folk music, it's folk rock.
Well, the wind brings the stories, I sing them out to you with this old voice and this old guitar.
It's music you can play on a guitar, on an acoustic guitar, you know, anywhere. Pick up a guitar and you got music. Plus music, folk music is folks music. It's really the main music. It's for everybody. It's beautiful, it's got soul. It tells stories.
Well, there's rain in the mountains, it's getting harder to stand. Rain in the mountains, getting harder to stand.
All my stuff, and this is just how I am. I wish I could write a better story song, and a few come up every now and then. It has to come from my subconscious. I can't sit down with a piece of paper and write a lyric. It happens now and then, but most of the time I'm playing chords, and some words will come, I'm on the way, and just even make sounds. because the words aren't coming out of my subconscious yet. So I'll just make syllabic sounds, like syllables, until a word comes. Maybe a few words come. Maybe it's a sentence. Sentence sounds good in the music that I'm playing. That's the beginning. If I can get one verse out, I'll write it down. Then I got a form. Hopefully a chorus. Then we're really cooking with gas. And usually it's going to be something that's probably happening in my life. Or maybe it's not even as clear as that. It might be more kind of oblique looking. But you'll hear it and go, I know just what he means. And I don't even know what I mean. I might later, maybe next year I might know. It's not, because it's not just about songwriting for me. It's about the musicianship too.
Don't let your demons bring you down.
The Sugaries, my current project, actually started as the videos I did with Sarana Verlin and Jason here. We called them Live from Billy's Basement. Well, we ended up with a lot of material, put a record out called Live from Billy's Basement, which won the Detroit Music Award twice, by the way. The band, we just started calling the Basement Band. And we did some shows. Eventually, Sarana moved to England, and I wanted to keep the music going with that basic lineup. That's what Sugaries are. It's a leftover from the Basement Band. The Basement Band was always song-based, but poised to be a jam band. There's something that happens when you're actually jamming, too, because it's a big portion of what the Sugaries do. It's a major portion of it. The song is just the launching pad. When that happens, this happens with the players and the audience. A synchronicity that see, the thing about jamming, it's not all planned out. It's not an arrangement. It might become an arrangement, but it starts as something, a risk. You've got a basic chord scheme. That's sort of the foundation. And then people start making their statement. The mandolin player plays a lick, and the organ player hears it and answers it. And when that communication starts, and because different than normal verbal communication, well, if we're both talking at once, which we do a lot when we get excited, it doesn't really serve anything. In music, it does. You can overlap each other harmonically, chordally, and you're just building the concept, the idea. It's really happening. All of a sudden, everyone's talking at once. What an amazing miracle. Song that called The Lash. That song is a cool folk rock song, but it's designed to have a real spacey open jam that builds and builds and builds, then goes back to that dripping wind across a meadow exit out to sea. That's one of the songs that I really love to keep performing.
And the lashes falling down. And the lashes falling down over me.
Favorite songs on the new Sugaries album and our live show. There's only one song like this on our record called Days of Fade, and it's sort of Celtic rock, but it's got a real good bounce to it. And Celtic music is an amazing thing. It's got a dancey feel to it. I mean, the fiddles, the mandolins, it's got a real upbeat, it's a beautiful thing. And I like incorporating it when I can. That's one of my favorite songs on the record.
On the right, they're on the left, they're closing in on us. Can't believe we buy the stuff that's burning in our guts.
A friend of mine, Maureen Hogan, wrote this song called Blue Baby Blue. Real kind of traditional old school country song. I kind of finished it off with a bridge and we put it on the record and it ended up sounding really, really good.
I'm so blue, baby blue, I'm all alone, baby blue, trying to stop this baby blue tears from crying.
But I also wanted to be the birds and the hollies on this record, so singing became a real important thing. It's always been important to me. Time Is Now, Sun Goes Down. They're all heavy vocal songs and on purpose.
So sing those blues, you don't own those shoes. I know times are rough, you can make it smooth. But time for love sing out. There's a time for peace, and the time is now.
Our live performances on a good day is really great. It's a really way above average vocal performance, full of good harmonies that we can pull off, but we can also jam. If the music kind of flips the door open, then I know it's right for me. It gets my endorphins going, it gets my emotions open. If it moves me and it moves you, it's a victory.
Keep your lamps trimmed and burning, 'cause this old world, it's so
You can learn more about Billy Brandt as well as all the artists we feature on DetroitPerforms.org. Next up is singer, songwriter, and musician Audra Kubat, whose love for Detroit and the people of the city runs strong in the depths of her lyrics and in the way she gives back to the community.
I grew up in Rosedale Park in the west side of Detroit, and when I was little we had a piano, so I used to just make up songs, or I could hear melodies, you know, and then go and I could figure out how to play them right away just by ear. I didn't really start writing songs or anything until I was out of high school. Much later, I got a guitar and started writing songs. I think it was something healing in the process for me. I would work through issues through writing the songs, and I'd feel better after. It was kind of like what crying can do for people sometimes. My first songwriting influence was Joni Mitchell. Her writing was always very honest, because I don't think she was like, oh, well, I can't say that. She was like, nope, I can say that. I can say whatever comes to me. I don't think she judged herself. So that was empowering to hear. I mean, especially a female artist. I write about a lot of different subjects. I write about people, but I mean, they're always kind of like trying to find the hope in it. You know, most of my songs kind of start out kind of talking about what the problem is, talking about the things that need addressing.
You wrecked yourself again, just trying to stop the pain.
But like sort of 3/4 through the song, it's kind of like, oh, but it could be like this, it could be like that. And it kind of goes through this process of seeing these people that are having a hard time, and then at the end it's kind of like, yeah, but it could be different.
The dreamers, they're awake, their eyes they can't believe.
I think when you get to those low points, that's when something breaks in you. That's when you make a choice, and you know, hard choices happen in those times. And then when you come back from that, you're stronger. You've built up an immunity to it.
And the stars can guide our way.
And when you get there, the next time something happens that's trying to put you back down there, you're kind of ready for it. You've built up your strength towards it. So it doesn't have to go that far down anymore. But I think if you go through life and you haven't had those things, you're actually missing out, you know, because I just think that they're really important to like develop really strong and amazing people. I am really sensitive to things outside of me, so it's like hard for me to see people hurting or in pain. So a lot of it started because I wanted to make things better around me, because it was hard for me to live through it. So I wanted to change people, I guess. I hope that it's inspirational. I think that the music is trying to be as vulnerable as possible and as open as possible, so that I hope that when you're listening to it, it makes you feel like that somebody's with you, somebody understands, and that we're all actually so much more alike than we are different, and so that it brings us together, I guess. What I think a lot of people need is just the encouragement to believe in what they're saying. I want to help young people, and really everybody, young at heart also, just everyone, to spend time with music and to remind them that they are all storytellers. One of the greatest things I'm doing right now is working with young people and working with songwriting and performance. And you know, not all of these students are going to be musicians. Most of them will be doing something else, but it's the confidence that you build through having people listen to you talk, having people listen to your story. We are all storytellers. And so I hope to remind people that they have a gift, and then I'm ready to hear it. And sometimes it just takes a good ear, you know, a patient ear to change the whole life of a young person. Doing songwriting with a school downtown called Dime, and just the challenge of teaching songwriting, and especially in a world where pop music is, that's what young people, I mean, I think probably think that they have to do to become, you know, popular and known. And I just wanted to say that part of what I hope to bring to my songwriting students is a different vantage point. That it's like you can incorporate hooks in your songs, and you can incorporate things that have pop sensibility without sort of compromising your story. And so that's something that I hope to be able to work with them, and I try to do that in my own music. It's like I don't want my songs to be stale, and I don't want them to not have some pop sensibility. And I think what happens is out in the world with pop music is like the writing isn't there, but the pop sensibility is there. So the songs are going to be popular because they're fun and they have good rhythm and they have a good hook. Just think about taking that formula and adding like really powerful, uplifting, inspirational lyrics to it with the pop sensibility. Like that's a good song to me. Those are the kind of songs and the kind of songwriters that I would like to help encourage. You know, and that's the kind of songwriter I want to be. Because I think my songs, some of them are toe tapping. I think what's most important about living in Detroit is saying hello to people. I find that nothing, you know, ever really terrible happened to me here, and I've always addressed people. I've always looked them in the face and said hello. You have to be with the people that are on the street with you, and not be afraid. You know, put on a good face. This city, you know, despite what people may think, has a lot to show. Currently, I host an open mic at Union Street. It's down on Woodward across the Majestic Cafe, and I host an open mic there every Tuesday at 9 o'clock. And so I open up the night and I play some of my songs. And then we have a great group of young and established songwriters and poets sometimes too, all kinds of different people doing different things, but that come down and share their work with each other. And it's become a really vibrant sort of jewel, I think. There is not a dud in the group. There's just, I mean, Mike Galbraith, Allison Lewis, Michelle Held, Emily Rose, incredible singer-songwriters that will blow your mind come to this open mic. And we always have a featured guest, and so I'm constantly trying to bring in somebody new to share their work. And it's awesome. I think it says that, you know, come down here and see it for yourself. It's just very telling when you can come down and you can see the talent that's here. I want you to come down and support this beautiful culture that's happening and be a part of it, because it's going to continue to grow. And what's so special is when you can be a part of that.
Now, let's check out some upcoming events happening in and around the D. Nique Loves Rhoades is a socially conscious hip-hop artist who is ready to take the world by storm with her inspiring lyrics and catchy beats. Here she is in action.
I woke up this morning, a lot on my mind. If we gotta change the world, it's gotta start with that. So
It's the greatest thing ever, just to be able to take an idea, create it, and have people like rock to your music.
Let's make love our #1 mission, cause love heals all. So let's get to the healing, real love.
I'm born and raised in Detroit all my life. Grew up on the West Side. Hip hop, it was really like a really positive outlet for me. It's just getting out those emotions and just being creative. Coming up, like I had a lot of like, like issues within the home, like family. My mom gave me a notebook. I specifically remember her giving me a notebook, and she told me, anything that you think or feel, write it down. And so probably I would say since like 7, I would just write poems and things like that. And then I was heavily involved in my church at the time, and we had a youth explosion. So it's like where different teens in the community, they would come and they would like showcase their talents. And so I did a poem, and somebody was like, yo, it sounds like you're rapping, you should try to start rapping.
Make my vision plain, write it down, focus on it, mission possible right now.
The history of hip hop is something that I grew up on, but I never really thought about it until somebody approached me and was like, you should try to rap, and it just came natural to me.
Dream chaser, realize dreams my way, dream chaser.
We are in the Hive rehearsal studios. It's the rehearsal space for me and my band. So we come here, we jam, we rehearse for upcoming shows. I'll come here occasionally and like write and rehearsal on different songs that I'm working on.
My job don't got me going anywhere no time soon. Don't like my major, I'm just trying to get up out of school.
The first stereotype that I always get is people don't even expect me to rap. The first thing people say, oh, you sing? And I'm like, no, I don't sing. And so they say, well, what do you do? And I'm like, I rap. And they're like, oh, really? You don't look like a rapper. As soon as like I start performing, they're like, oh, I didn't expect that. I think the second thing that is a misconception we have of the hypersexualized female hip hop artists that get a lot of mainstream appeal. And I'm definitely like the opposite of that. And I do it really almost like intentionally sometimes to really show like there's different facets of what a woman in hip hop looks like. And so I try to be that positive, socially conscious, and bring like a balance to what's perceived as what is a female hip hop artist. I really just try to use music as a tool to like uplift people. I think now more than ever people need to be inspired in some way. Peace, love, and revolution, those are like my key words. I definitely choose also to shed light on what's going on like socially in a creative way. Really just getting people to think about situations differently.
I'm riding around listening to the ghosts of the past, wondering what if their lives would have lasted. I'm talking Michael, Whitney, Aaliyah, Left Eye, Pac, Biggie, Marley, Hendrix, Cobain.
I come from the school of like Bob Marley and people like that who use music as a tool to push for social change and enlighten people and uplift people, and I think that's just needed now. Like we see the same issues that we saw back in the 50s and 60s. And music was the kind of the driver. Even if you look at like what's going on like politically, a lot of people are like, anti-establishment. We want change and we want, equality, and it's so many issues that are kind of like dominating right now. And I think self-reflection and just like having people be honest with themselves is the solution. You look at even the issue of like racism. That starts like you learn it and then you act it out, and it's your own personal, biases and prejudice against people. That starts internally. They can change whatever laws, but as long as people have a heart like that to look at somebody and make judgments off of somebody, laws can change, but people's hearts have to change.
Just wanna be great, run into my dreams, hope I don't be late, nah.
Hip hop is improvisation, is rooted in that. And so for me, when I'm creating songs, typically I would start with a concept in mind. So I may say, I want to write about this topic, and then I'll connect with the producer I work with, and so they'll just pull up beats and whatever connects with me at the time. Now it's like, okay, I like that beat. I was actually just sitting with my keyboard player, Barry, and he was just like playing beats. And if I hear something, I'm like, okay, I know I can write to that. It's very weird because there's no like ABC formula. It's literally like the words will just come to me.
God gave me back in May of '88. 20-something years later, I'm up at the plate and
I think as an artist, you're almost obligated to speak for other people because people are listening to your work and people are consuming your work. So they have to have something that they can relate to. I just wrote a song about Detroit, the water crisis here. Sparked that. A song I have called Rise Up is like 3 different stories in one song.
I know there's more to life than this. Rise up, where I'm at ain't good enough. Rise up.
Then I put some of my own personal life experiences, and so I really pull information and inspiration from everywhere.
Yo, we gotta stop, take a look inside ourselves, search inside our hearts. Lack of love for self, leaves little for the people. Don't hate your fellow man, hate the system that teach you.
My band is awesome. It's called the NLR Experience. I say we're a hip-hop fusion band because it's hip-hop, but we mix a lot of jazz in there. We mix some funk. There's some elements of rock in there, so it's pretty cool. Because now you're not only working with like yourself and just writing the songs, but you're bringing songs to musicians who can then interpret the songs in their own way musically. And so they add different flavor to it.
Love heals all.
I have this concept that everyone is a revolutionary, whether it's, you know, your personal life, your community, and just really being empowered to do that, to, you know, to be somebody that's gonna like stand up for the right thing and do the right thing and be proud of that, and to be a person that, you know, lives a life of passion and just going for your goals. To see us eventually like be touring and making a living off of that, that's for sure a goal. And to just keep making music and keep encouraging people and inspiring people in any way through music, that's really the ultimate goal.
Love heals all.
And that wraps it up for this edition of Detroit Performs. As always, for more arts and culture, head to DetroitPerforms.org, where you'll find featured videos, blogs, and information on upcoming arts events. Also, check us out on Facebook and Twitter. I'd like to thank the Plymouth Community Arts Council for having us out here today. I am in the Energy Center, where they hold all their art classes and art camps. This place is incredible. Until next Tuesday, get out there and show the world how Detroit performs, y'all. I'm DJ Oliver. Thanks for watching, guys.
Funding for Detroit Performs is provided by
Masco Corporation is proud to manufacture innovative and environmentally friendly products for the home. Delta faucets, craft-made in Merillat cabinets, and Behr brand paints have all been designed with you in mind. Masco and its family of companies, serving Michigan communities since 1929.
Funding is also provided by the Michigan Council for Arts and Cultural Affairs and the National Endowment for the Arts, and by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.